Today I want to talk about African Union and EU and what are the top 5 policies that EU have adopted that African Union should copy and adopt. Number 1, EU's Common Agriculture Policy. This policy was launched in 1962 and its EU's Common Agricultural Policy is partnership between agriculture and society and between Europe and its farmers. Its aims is to support farmers and improve agricultural productivity, ensuring a stable supply of affordable food, safeguard European Union's farmers to make reasonable living, help tackle climate change and sustainable management of natural resources, maintain rural areas and landscapes across the EU, keep the rural economy alive by promoting jobs in farming, agri-foods, industries and associated sectors. And they achieve this by through income support paying directly to the farmers, market measures to deal with difficult market situations such as sudden drop in demand, rural development measures with funding from the EU and the European Agriculture Guarantee Funds. Also, they have the European Agriculture Fund for Rural Development. Now, this is important for Africa because Africa has more farming lands than any other continent on the planet. Still, the farming is still in child's shoes and it's not developed enough. One of the main reasons is because EU's farms are dropping their products to African markets, and that's the reason why the local markets cannot develop. But if the African Union had the Common Agricultural Policy where it excluded from other continents or other countries outside of Sub-Saharan Africa from selling into Sub-Saharan Africa, well then the local population could be helped through income support to start farming, and we could see a dramatic increase in the amount of farming done in Africa. Now currently this is not the case, but through this policy the EU has been able to promote their own farmers at the expense of other farmers, and if Africa did the same thing it would be very beneficial to Africa. Secondly, the common fisheries policies. It's sort of the same as the common agricultural policy, but this one is for the sea and the fishes, of course. Now the CFP, as it's called, is set to it sets of rules of managing European fishing fleets and for conserving fish stocks. It's designed to manage a common resource. It gives all European fishing fleets equal access to EU waters and fishing grounds and allows fishermen to compete fairly. Now, basically all the fishermen are giving quotas, all the countries are giving quotas, and then countries, they give those quotas to their local fishermen. Now this should be something that African Union should adopt, because currently China and other countries are fishing in our seas without quotas, and they are currently destroying our seas and our fishes. So if we had this policy in place, then we could make sure that it's our local population that is actually doing the fishing and not multinational corporations, especially from China and Japan, who are benefiting from our fishes and from our seas. Number 3, trade policy. The European Union manages its trade and investment relations with non-EU countries through its trade and investment policy. Trade outside the EU is an exclusive responsibility of the EU rather than the national government of their member states. This means the EU institutions make laws on trade matters, negotiate and conclude international trade agreements. The EU's responsibilities cover trade in goods and services, the commercial aspects of intellectual property such as patents, public procurements and foreign direct investments. Now, the reason why African Union countries should adopt this is because currently the trade agreements that African countries do with the rest of the world are unfair. For example, you will have countries like Kenya doing a trade agreement with EU. Now, you cannot compare the size of EU with the size of Kenya. So in the negotiations, the Kenya will always be disadvantaged. However, on those negotiations, if the negotiations were between EU and African Union, especially the countries from Sub-Saharan Africa, if all those countries were negotiating as one, well then that deal that they get will be much better and it will be advantageous to them. So it's very important that we negotiate together, and we make sure that even those smaller countries like Zambia or other countries that don't have that big of a GDP are also taken into consideration, and they also get the deal that they need. So it's always better to negotiate together. And currently we're negotiating, everybody's negotiating for himself. So it's every country for himself. And that's very negative thing, because other countries are combining resources, they're coming in together. Single bidding and African Union Development Fund. Now, many things, for example, the COVID-19 vaccines, when European countries were buying those resources, they bought them together. Same thing, when they're buying military equipment, many times they put their resources together, they pull them together, and then they buy those resources as one. And because of that, they will get much more resources with their money, because they're buying bigger quantities, and the money and the prices always drop. And this is something that African Union countries could adopt. For example, they all have armies, they all have police. You need police cars. Why is each and every single country buying their own police cars and bidding their own police cars? Because the money will automatically be higher. However, if you come together and you bid together and you buy as one, then the money is going to drop. You're going to get a lot more police department equipment, cars, or whatever you need. You're going to get bigger military equipment, much more with the same money. So African Union countries should be bidding together. And same thing, we should have African Union development funding. That is all the African countries that could pay a little bit of money should be putting money into development fund that could then develop those parts of Africa that are leaving behind. Because we cannot have the situation where, for example, Ghana or Nigeria are rich and then Cameroon is poor. But if we have like developmental funding that we'll be funding together our resources, well then they could make sure that they could allocate enough money for Cameroon to develop at the same pace as all the others. Now, these are 5 small things, and there are other policies that I will talk about in my next videos. For example, what to do with our natural resources when we are selling them. So if you're interested in videos like this, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.